YouTube, welcome back. So today I'm going to be going over the top things you should be farming with your league starter. So I'm going to be covering the top 10 most popular league starters this league, which we will likely see. And I'm going to be covering 4 different things you should be farming with your league starter to have the best league start possible. Starting out with the Archmage Hierophant. I think the best things you could be farming are bosses, simulacrum, essence, and harvest. This build really excels at single target damage, and it's fairly tanky enough to where simulacrum shouldn't realistically be a problem once you're geared to a reasonable level. Harvest, you have a little bit of AoE, but you have a good single target. It's just really good for harvest. Essence, single target check. You should be tanky enough to tank the essence. And bossing in general. Next is Ellie bows. So this is lightning arrow, Ellie hit of, I believe it's the spectrum is the ranged one now. This build really succeeds in Legion, right? This build clears Legion insanely fast. It's honestly probably the main reason why you're playing this build. If you want some other things you can do, you could speed altar farm. This goes really well with Legion, right? You do Legion's altars, do your map, you're out. This build works really well on Breach. Breach is a mechanic where everything kind of goes out from a singular position, but you can kind of just turn around, spin, and just kill everything, right? It's really good at Breach. Harbingers, I think this build is pretty good at Harbingers, right? The second the Harbingers spawn, you kind of just blow them all up and you get your loot from that. So yeah, Harbingers. Next is EA. I wasn't sure if I wanted to include EA on this list, but I think it will still be decently strong. I don't think it will be the best. So for EA, we have Harvest, right? It's always excelled at Harvest. Expedition, it's a dot skill, really good with Expedition. Invitation farming, this build's really good at farming invitations. I mean, the single target's really decent on the build, right? There's no real downside. And then we have essences, right? You can lay down your ballistas, run around, dodge all the stuff the essence monster throws at you, and kind of just kill it that way, right? It's really strong. It's great. So next we have Exsanguinate Mines. This is basically a bow skill in disguise. So it'll do about the same stuff a bow skill does, right? It'll do legions very, very well. It does speed altar farming pretty well, right? Destructive play. It has decent single target. It's not that great single target, but it has decent single target. So it can farm destructive play. Stating destructive play, I mean like silo farming for maps. I think it's really good at that. Harvest, again, it has really good AoE, but the single target's decent, so it's pretty good in Harvest. Next, we have Frostblaze of Catabasis. It's a really interesting skill. It's really decent at altar farming, destructive play once again. So this is farming silo. It's also really good at invitation farming, right? So doing guardian invitations with destructive play. It's really good at that. And then you have Harvest, right? It's pretty good at Harvest. I don't have much to say on this build. I'm not entirely sure about this build, but this is what I assume this build will be probably farming the best. Next we have Hexblast. Hexblast, the blasting mines, my favorite skill in the game as of currently. This build dominates Sanctum. It shreds through Sanctum like nobody's business. It is one of the best starters you can run if you want to run Sanctum. It does insane boss DPS. Again, insane skill. It does essences insanely well. I farmed a crap ton of essences last league on this build. I have so many videos of doing it as well. You go check out my content from last league. This runs invitations insanely well because you just you're nuking those guardian bosses so quickly. There's no reason not to, right? This is your go-to build if you want to boss. Next is Bleed Lacerate. I think Expedition's really good. It's a bleed based build, so it should do Expeditions insanely easily. Harbingers, again, it kind of just kills the Harbingers as they spawn. You have a good enough AoE, right? Your damage is good enough. Harvest, same thing, right? It'll pop the plot basically as soon as the plot spawns, right? You attack the plot. It'll all go pop, and then you just have to deal with the big boss, if there is one, and you have enough single target damage. It's pretty good for Harvest. Ritual, I was debating on if I wanted to include this. I think this farms Ritual really well. It's decently tanky, right? You just don't have to worry about the traps in Ritual as much. You can just kill the mobs fairly quickly with your pops, so I think it's pretty good at Ritual. Next, we have Lightning Strike, right? Lightning Strike is, once again, kind of like a bow build in disguise. It has a lot of projectiles that you're shooting out, and you're not really caring about it's a melee skill. It's kind of a range skill. So it does pretty much exactly what bows do good. Legion, speed altar farming, harvest, but it also does delirium really well. This is a build, if you want to try to run a delirium based strat at league start, I think this might be the best build for it as of right now. So I do think delirium lands under the top 4 farming strategies for this build. Next we have Poisonous Concoction of Bouncing. It's really good at Expedition, really good at Harvest, really good at rushing to the bosses and doing destructive play to farm your guardian maps or whatever, boss rushing basically. And it's really good at essences. I don't really have much to say about this build, but this is what it's good at. Next we have Slams, the big boom, one hit, right? You're going to try to nuke things. with one giant hit, right? Which means it's really good for bossing. It's really good for essences. It's really good for invitation farming. The things which require a lot of boom single target, but not a lot of AoE, right? It's also really good at harvest because the slams will kind of nuke the first plot on the first slam, right? Then you charge up, you wait, right? The big boss or the tier 3 or tier 4s come out, and then boom, you slam again, you kill it. It's really good at harvest. And that's about it for the video, guys. If you guys have any questions regarding this list, or if you guys need help with your build, I will try to leave some recommendations in the comments down below. I did my research on these builds. I'm not entirely sure I can help you with your build if you aren't playing these, but I will try my best to help you out. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you want to see more contents. I will see you guys next video. Peace out.